We are so grateful to be supported by sponsors like our friends at Haney and Company. You know, we all know that in today's complex financial landscape, having a trusted advisor can make all the difference. Since 1960, Haney and Company has been providing comprehensive accounting services to a diverse range of clients, from small businesses to large corporations. With nearly 400 professionals across 13 locations, they offer services in tax, audit, business consulting, and client advisory. In fact, their commitment to excellence has earned them recognition from Accounting Today and Forbes magazines. At Haney and Company, though, it's not just about balancing books. It's about building lasting relationships based on trust and mutual growth. So visit HaneyCPAs.com. That's HaneyCPAs.com to learn how they can support your business's financial journey.
We are so grateful to be supported by these community champions: Sales MD, Team Friday, Realist Lab, Kiana Patterson, Diego Chavez, Jer Boucher, Heather Ryder, Janine Sua, Lily Roca, and Steve Kernan.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, or welcome to another edition of Stoppage Time with me, Uncle Rob, or Abuelo Rob, Grandpa Rob, depending on how you know me and why you know me. Here to share some thoughts on the week with y'all, just talk to you directly a little bit, unfiltered, as they would say. A little bit of a post-show, postscript to the episode that we dropped this week on Thursday with Councilperson Nithya Raman here in Los Angeles. And I got to tell you, I am an unabashed fan of her leadership, of the policy positions that she holds by and large, but fundamentally because I see her as the validating example, and a very high profile validating example of my fundamental belief that underlines everything that we do as part of the Entrepreneurial Thinkers podcast and community, that says that I believe we both need and that we do have entrepreneurial thinkers, not just entrepreneurs or investors narrowly, but entrepreneurial thinkers across every sector and segment of our society and industry today. She is a shining example of how a public official, an elected government official, a representative of us as the people, can use their office and their relative power to be able to influence and shape both the biggest challenges that we face as well as the biggest opportunities that we face. In our case, somebody very excitedly driving by on a Friday afternoon with a very loud, annoying motorcycle. But to shape, again, not just the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities that we face in positive ways, but to shape them in new ways, to look at kind of old problems. Because let's be really, really honest about things. If we're going to talk like this, we got to be like no bullshit honest about things. Like most of the most complex societal, structural, institutional issues that face us in any of our cities, states, countries, anywhere we live on the planet are long in the making issues. Very few to almost none of the biggest issues and challenges that we face, or frankly, opportunities that we are presented with, are something born of the moment. Everything has a long history. I am a nerdy student of history, and if there's one thing that I lament more than others, it's this kind of quick twitch, immediate reaction in the now, social media clickbaity kind of reactionary approach to everything that we seem to be becoming intoxicated with as human beings. Because the reality of life and the reality of the world is one that is long-term, long game, long complex problems, opportunities and challenges that literally were fomented decades before most often, and then take decades to unfold and result in kind of a progressive or regressive moment in our history. So I was very appreciative of the conversation. A couple of big takeaways for me is that you should look for as you listen to or watch the show, which again, you can always listen to on any audio platform that you enjoy your podcasts if you're not a subscriber of ours already. And please, if you do listen, go ahead and subscribe, because then you'll get automatic notification updates that'll tell you when new episodes or new content drops. Or you can watch it on YouTube, of course, as well. And all the new episodes on Entrepreneurial Thinkers come out every week on Thursdays. And then these shows, Stoppage Times, these little visits from me, drop into your inbox on Friday. So a couple of takeaways that I think you can take away from this that are really important for all of us to remember and that are informing the other big societal issues which are on my mind and weighing heavily on my mind this week, which I will talk about here in a minute, is that one, like again, patience, like a proper, healthy patience and perspective when it comes to getting things done. And then I'll go one step further in saying, especially when you're talking about getting complicated things done. So we have every right as citizens to demand more, to be more demanding of our institutions and our systems to provide us the levels of service or the services that we deem we deserve or that we should be normally historically provided. But it's one thing to be demanding of that. It's another thing to be demanding of that with respect and professionalism or context or just patience, right? And awareness of the bigger picture. Demanding things that are super self-serving. I've written about this before, kind of our loss of what I call neighborliness and our loss of sense of community. So sitting in your individualistic bubble, just demanding something that is just super serving to you, that isn't necessarily applicable to everybody else, and wanting it like you want when you call room service at a hotel. Okay, that's just nonsense. Like if that's how you're approaching your life in the city or the place that you live, like grow up, because that's just ridiculous. So patience and contextual understanding of the things that we are asking of our governments or of our institutions would be one big takeaway. And then the other one, which you'll actually even find in the title of this episode when you go enjoy it, is just the idea that we need to find more ways, and we need to be more diligent at trying to meet one another where we are as human beings with greater empathy. Right. So if there were two huge takeaways for me from this conversation with Nithya, Councilperson Raman, it was just the fundamental importance of patience and perspective, and the fundamental importance of kind of our humanity and empathy for one another as shared human beings. There's a famous phrase, I think it was President Kennedy back in the day, that once said something about, we all share this one little blue planet, and that is true. Again, I may be misquoting him. Maybe it wasn't him that said it, right? But that is true. And that bled through in this conversation with Councilperson Raman as well. That's my approach to life. I write about it often. I talk about it often. But to hear it come from arguably one of our highest profile local government officials here, and frankly, a very high profile government official on a regional and national basis even, because of some of her leadership on some of our most pressing issues. It was really gratifying for me. It was frankly validating, right? The thesis behind Entrepreneurial Thinkers as a show of creating this community, of bringing the best and brightest people together to think about how we can leave this world a better place, as my mom used to say to us. That was really cool. So those would be my big takeaways from this episode again. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you dig into it. I'm going to tell you that those takeaways have really, really carried me forward. So we recorded this episode not too long ago. And then as I have the opportunity, per Deanna, my boss, as she makes me go back and listen to the rough cuts of these things so that we can finish them up before we release them each week. I got to tell you that the timing of re-listening to this conversation with Nithya this week in Los Angeles, as the city has been essentially assaulted by our federal government and by the Trump administration's overly heavy-handed use of the ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials, the DEA, the FBI, and a number of other federal law enforcement-related agencies and officers to come into our city and not focus targeted detainment and deportation efforts against the most criminal elements in the city, the most egregious criminals, gang members, illicit lawbreakers who also happen to have undocumented status, but instead to literally chase hardworking, tax-paying, non-benefit receiving locals here in our community who across Home Depot parking lots, because that's where they were waiting for day labor opportunities, or going into workplaces, or going into schools, or going into hospitals to separate families, to literally detain and then process for deportation kids under the age of 10 from school or from the school parking lot or at the graduation ceremony. Like, that's just fucking nuts. And it's unconstitutional. It's illegal in many ways, the way that it's being handled. The state government of California, our governor, our attorney general are filing lawsuits to countermand these types of this approach. It has caused an unnecessary amount of discord and uncertainty and stress, and therefore reactionary activities here in the city, amidst some very lovely, very intentional, very purposeful, very legal, peaceful protests, of which I've been a part of a couple, and very proudly so. And so while I've been dealing with this week, this conversation with Nithya and this kind of gentle reminder about the importance of patience and perspective and the fundamental human importance of meeting other humans with empathy and displaying the best version of ourselves, the best of humanity, versus what we're experiencing here in Los Angeles, it's really been super helpful. So it's been a quietly stressful week. Obviously, I'm in personal privilege. I live in a safe relative bubble. The activities that we're talking about are happening on literally like 2-3 square blocks in one very particular neighborhood called the Civic Center neighborhood. And so like 99.995% of Los Angeles is living normal, moving on, living their lives. But what is happening to our immigrant community is just unacceptable. And I'm having lots of conversation with lots of friends here about what we can do and how we can be involved and how we can be supportive. But then there's also just a recognition in kind of historic context that there is also lots of this that we can't control. And that's disconcerting, right? And disappointing as an American citizen, because I've had conversations and had to use phrases in conversations with friends this week, or weekend, I should say, which I've only ever used before when describing dictatorships or authoritarian governments in underdeveloped or dictatorial countries in the history of the world in the last 100 years. And so to be using those same phrases when trying to describe a circumstance or a situation to a friend in the context of the United States, that's just abhorrent. It is so far beyond who we are. I was saying to a friend yesterday something, and I used the word humankind, and it struck me, it jumped off my brain, and I was like, that's the missing element here, right? Literally the definition of the species that we are a part of is called humankind. And when you split those two words apart, right, it's the root humanity and kindness. And how our government, our federal government right now is treating and attacking other people is not treating other humans with kindness. And so, that's been bothersome. But again, the lessons, the energy, the optimistic, humble empathy that came from the conversation with Councilperson Raman has been really gratifying and helpful this week. So that's it. There's all kinds of other stuff I could talk about. I'm not going to keep you out here. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I hope it's safe for all the fathers out there. Hello, Dad and Grandpa. Like, happy Father's Day this weekend here, where we celebrate it. I hope you get to spend time with your kids, your family, your friends, and grandsons, whomever it might be. Grandkids, whoever it might be. I hope you get to celebrate. I hope you get celebrated, and I hope you get to celebrate yourself for your role as dads in this world. Again, every week I'm just trying to use the Entrepreneurial Thinkers platform and these conversations here with you in rabid pursuit of trying to leave the world a little bit better place than we found it, as my mom always used to ask me to do. So love, peace, joy, happiness, and we'll see you right back here next week Thursday, next week Friday. And in the meantime, go enjoy and share and listen to this incredible conversation with Councilperson Nithya Raman on Entrepreneurial Thinkers. We are so grateful to be supported by sponsors like our friends at eSudo. You know, running any business, but especially a law firm, means balancing a lot. And technology, frankly, shouldn't be a headache. eSudo makes information technology and cybersecurity simple for law firms large or small. With over 20 years of experience, they specialize in everything from Microsoft 365 management to advanced cybersecurity solutions. They help you to stay ahead of threats, manage your data securely, and keep your tech running smoothly so that you can focus on what matters most, your clients.
eSudo understands the legal industry's unique needs, offering tailored solutions to ensure that your firm is always in compliance and always protected. Are you ready to upgrade your firm's technology or get help with your questions? Visit esudo.com.